These have all flown in very early this morning, so it's good to get them here before they start falling asleep, because I know what it's like travelling early. So we've got Gavin Connolly here from Nerdio. He's going to do an update on all good things that are happening at Nerdio now.
Super. Thank you. Is this a clicker?
It is.
Oh, brilliant. Hey everybody. My name is Gavin Connolly. I am Field CTO at Nerdio. I've been at Nerdio for about 3 months now, but it feels like about 3 years already. We're running that pace. Prior to that, I spent over 6 years at Citrix. And look, it's just great to see so many familiar faces today. I think it's brilliant. It really says a lot about where we stand in EUC in the UK at the moment. So it's really great to see everybody. Today, I want to talk to you really quickly around 3 different points, just to give you some updates on where we are with Nerdio and what we've been working on. Some really interesting and cool stuff coming down the pipe. Let's talk about cost management. So we have some of the most granular auto-scaling controls out there, and we're continuing to innovate in that space. And what we've just introduced last month is what we call rolling drain mode. So we have really granular wake up or launching for hosts in Azure. So we can have multiple schedules for when those machines turn on. Now we've introduced what we call rolling drain mode. So that's the ability to say, at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock when your users start to log off in the evening, we can put it into rolling drain mode. And we can say, 10% or 50% of your machines, we want to start turning them off. We stop new connections going to those boxes, and then we allow them to log off. This one is just coming out tomorrow, so we're hot off the press with this one. We have what we call alternative schedule. So like I said before, we have multi-schedule scaling capabilities in Nerdio, and now we've created what we call the alternative scheduler. And that allows us, we can put in specific date range, so it allows us to do things like have exceptions. So for weekends maybe, or for public holidays, etc. Or if your admin team are going off for a week's summit or a week PTO, you can put this into the alternative schedule and have your machines power up in a different way. And this acts as a schedule override. So really interesting. This one is a much requested feature. Next one. This one is really exciting for me. A little bit similar to kind of what Tom was talking about earlier. We have our Nerdio Advisor. So our Nerdio Advisor is a modeling tool that allows you to plug in certain RAM and CPU thresholds. And based on those thresholds, we'll take a look at a machine over a week. This is available for single session machines today. We're working on multi-session machines as well for AVD. And what it will do is, over a course of a week, it will see what the average CPU and RAM usage is. And if it's above or below the thresholds that the admin team sets, it will recommend you then to upscale or downscale that machine based on that usage. And it's as easy as a click of a button, apply. And this is kind of just phase 1 of this advisor. What's going to come is eventually you can let Nerdio just do this automatically. You don't have to come in as an admin and check it. And you don't have to click the apply button. We'll do that for you. You'll see we will show you completely the breakdown of why we're making those recommendations and what's involved in that process and what we've monitored. And this here, I just wanted to show you how we apply the triggers. So again, we can set those thresholds. Again, this is just the start of building out this functionality and features within the product set. It's really exciting. So next one, on to our app management. So Nerdio, earlier in the year, released what we call Unified Application Management. Apps hot topic today. And what we've built basically is an integration. So we can integrate with the Winget repository. That can be a public or private Winget repository, and that's already within the product today. 3 weeks ago, we released SCCM, that connector box up there. So we can now integrate with your SCCM repository, and I'll show you what that looks like in a few moments. And then tomorrow, we are going live, knock on wood, if everything goes well, we'll bring out that connector for Intune. And then we also support MSIX as well, and we've done that for a little while. So by bringing in all of these different repositories into that one single management layer, we can then deploy and update to those Intune managed physical endpoints, your AVD virtual machines, and even your cloud PC, Windows 365. And this is what that looks like. So we can bring in your applications from all the different repositories. This one is just showing the public Winget repository, so we can bring in all of those applications from the Microsoft Store. Here we have the Intune integration. So phase one of the Intune integration coming out tomorrow, we will have a read-only repository of Intune. So you can connect a single Intune repository per Nerdio tenant, and we can, as a phase one, deploy to Intune managed devices only. One thing that I think is really nice about how we've configured this, or how we've designed this, is that the applications are deployed in device context. So you don't need to wait for your user to log on to that machine to install the application, which is really good. Next one up is SCCM. So we have our SCCM integration. We can import applications, different packages. Again, this one is a phase one as well. We are supporting MSI only. For phase one, we can bring in our packages. We save them to a storage account inside of Nerdio, and then we can deploy those applications. And then we use what we call a device policy, a deployment policy to deploy these applications down to the device. And here's what that looks like. So I can bring in applications from SCCM, from Intune, from my Winget public store, and I can push them down to my AVD or my Intune. I can only do AVD or Intune per policy for now, at least. And like I said, I've just done this for effect and for show, we wouldn't mix the Intune apps with the other two, at least not in phase one. So yeah, and in terms of, we can then set a concurrency window then in terms of how many hosts we want to target at a time. So in this example, I've done a global target and I've set 10 jobs at a time. That can be done on a per host pool level, so you can go and affect one host pool, for example, at a time. We also have a maintenance window at the bottom there where you can schedule that time where those applications are going to be installed, and that is recommended to schedule a maintenance window when we are doing these app installs. We do have a polling inside of Nerdio where it will poll the endpoint every 15 minutes to see if those applications are present, and then feed that back into our console so that you can see if the applications that you have sent out have been deployed. And then last but not least, I have ease of management. So this one is a really cool one that we've just come out with in the last couple of months. We've been kind of building it slowly but surely. We have a self-service portal for end users. So the admin can decide that the end user is allowed to take power actions on their machines. They can even change the VM size and the OS disk type. And again, that can be a very set list that the admin configures. And we can even have the end user access to run PowerShell scripts all from the console. So the end user gets this console view at the bottom here, and they have their different actions, so they can resize, reimage, restore the machine, power on. So this one is really interesting for developer use case. It's also really good for setting the idea of setting a lower baseline machine. So if you have a user and they use Power Apps 2 or 3 times a month, what we might have done in the past is just give them the higher spec machine, keep them happy, keep them quiet, give them the higher spec machine, and they can use it every time. Otherwise, they'd be coming and complaining to you 3 times a month. What this allows you to do is give them that lower baseline, saving on costs, and then, with a bit of education, teach them to come in here, resize their machine, and allow them to, thanks James, and allow them to then scale up or size up the machine. So really interesting use case there. The other thing, and you can see it up here, is that the admin has total control over how long they can have access to that larger machine or more powerful disk, and that can be down to days or even hours. So that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but Nigel told me to keep it short. So very quickly, every idea that we put into Nerdio comes from customers, including everything that you've seen there today. So if there's any ideas, if you're working with the tool, and I know a lot of you in the room are, if you're working with the tool, we want this feedback, we want the suggestions. You know, a customer, like I said, I'm in Nerdio just shy of 3 months now. A customer gave me some feedback on my second week there. It's already in the product. Okay, so we're moving quickly. We're moving quickly. And then finally, we do have a community license. So anybody that wants access to a community license, you can get a 30-day free trial in the marketplace of Nerdio, and then just reach out to myself or Neil, who's out in the lobby, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you about getting that flipped to a community version of the tool. So that's about it for me. Finally, we do have the nicest and most comfortable socks in the industry, and I can attribute, I chose to wear these today. So go and talk to my friend Neil outside. He has some socks and some stress balls and some different